Alrighty guys, I am going to be completely honest with you. I already recorded an intro for this video, basically saying that the entire video is of live commentary, but when reviewing the live commentary, it just doesn't seem enough. There's a lot of times where I'm not speaking at all because, I'm not talking the entire time, and you can't hear my buddy BraZZ, who's also in the game, because of how I recorded it. If you guys are interested in seeing a video with the live commentary, just let me know, because I can do that. I already have it, but I just felt that, there'd be a lot more possible talking action, and so with me recording after, I know not too many people do live commentaries unless they're streaming, and that's probably the reason why they usually just go back and record afterward. So, with that said, this is a PvP, person versus person, normals League of Legends match. And with regard to that, that means we're not playing bots this time. We are actually playing other, real people. So I am playing the role of jungle Sejuani, and my buddy BraZZ is playing a support Maokai down on bottom lane. And we already noticed here that unfortunately the enemy team did not pick a jungle, so it's going to be a little bit difficult at some points in times, but then again it might also have its advantages. So, one thing you guys should note though is that because Season 3 has completely destroyed LoL Replay, which I used to record this, it's going to be very laggy and buggy through the very beginning of the video and through different bits and pieces. Hopefully you can bear with it though. Alright, so to get into the actual game itself, we do have Corki, who we don't know, on bottom, with BraZZ, who we do know, and he'll be playing support. I'm going straight for the blue buff, and then we have a Pantheon on solo top, but I will be joining him quite often. And we also have a Kennen in mid lane, as you can already see. So right here, Kennen offered me a leash, and I, said sure, because this isn't, bots, so we want the blue buff to be taken as quickly as possible so that it will start its cooldown cycle and everything else. In a second here, Pantheon will also suggest a second leash, of which I would also say sure. I did ask if they wanted me to do blue buff or wolves. That's one thing I honestly have never understood on why people do wolves first. Because typically you don't get enough experience to level on wolves, I don't think. So you just go into blue buff with less life. So yeah, I didn't see this the first time playing through, but I did want to show it now because BraZZ mentioned it. But I guess he had a little bit of a scuffle here right at level 1 between Gangplank and Nidalee, who he's going against. In mid lane, who is the opponent in mid lane? Fizz, I think, is the opponent in mid lane. And then on top, the opponents are Talon and Jarvan. So, all in all, both sides have a pretty wide range of coverage and, escape ability and all that sort of thing. So right now, we're going to start blue buff. And unfortunately, because I have not played jungle Sejuani, or jungle in general, in quite some time now, I didn't even use my smite, but honestly that's because I had 2 really strong leashes for this one, so I didn't feel that I needed to, as opposed to if I were to go to red buff afterward, do red buff by myself, and then I would want smite. So that's the reason I didn't use smite, but now I'm of course going to do wolves, and then after I get wolves, I'm going to head straight up and try to help out Pantheon up on top, because as you can see, there is no enemy jungle, and that's not good. So I'm going to crank these health potions, hopefully be up to a respectable level before I get up there. I'm going to run straight up river, cut through the brush, and then just jump right on top of it. So let's see, I only have 1 into my W, which is what I start with, and 1 into my E, which is what I max first. So I'm going to crash right into him, start my whirlwind, activate my E, and get that permafrost damage. And that should be enough, because I got a hit on both of them for Pantheon to get the first blood. And then he and Jarvan exchange a couple blows. I jump in on Jarvan, Jarvan's a little scared at this point, and he runs away because it is a 2v1. So he's going to try to keep his distance as much as possible. And I'm just going to stay here to help Pantheon clear his wave, mainly because he's going to be 2-on-1 the whole time. So yeah, it is Fizz and Kennen in mid, and then here's Maokai and let's see, Corki against Gangplank and Italy, like I mentioned. So I helped Pantheon and our team get their first blood, so that's good. I'm going to run back down and touch up on Wolves, and then from there I'll probably cut over to the other side of our jungle across mid lane. So Wolves is going, and that's all good stuff. But yeah, so like I mentioned, if you guys want to see the live commentary, you can, but it's really only talking about whenever I'm doing something or whenever I'm engaging a team battle. Anytime I'm really associating with Christian or letting him know, what I did, that's BraZZ. So right now this is me scoping around on spectator mode for the LoL replay because, I hadn't seen anything else that was really going on. I try to not look too far away from myself at most times unless I know that I'm safe. As you can see here, it's really lagging down. I really hate that. They should really fix that. I mean, you think that they'd be able to fix that by now. Or, even before Season 3 switches over, before the new season switches. But nonetheless, the first thing I'm going to try to build is actually one of the newer items that you can see there in my #1 spot. It upgrades into an even better item that has health, armor, health regen, and mana regen. Both of which I love because it just lets me sustain that much longer. So it's not all about health and armor and magic resist, because you do want to be able to keep that value up. You don't want it to deplete too quickly. Especially if you're going up against a really tough damage character. That champion will just peel away at your max health instead of the fact where you could have it be regenerating just as fast as they're taking it away. Now, it won't ever get to that level, but it will help. So here I tried to come help Kennen because he was getting 2-on-1. I see Fizz is kind of low, but I'm not ready to, dive the tower over him. So and he knows that, so he's going to go and recall while Jarvan is a buffer in between the two. But Jarvan and I are going at it here, and Kennen's poking away at the back, and I end up getting Jarvan. So that's good. We are already 2-0 now. It's hard to see the screen specifics at this point in time of me recording. But then I'm going to stay on this tower with Kennen for a little bit. Talon comes down from top. Pantheon mentions, that he didn't know that he was completely Mia. So Talon just tried to scare us off the tower, which, he did do for the most part. So now with that said, I'm going to go visit bottom because Brad was saying that, they're kind of getting, they're not losing their lane, it's just kind of going back and forth, and some extra help would be helpful. So I'm going to come in and help try to push their wave at least up to the tower, and just at least get, 1 or 2 minion waves out of the way. And then once I killed a few of the minions, I'm just going to head right back because I see a lot of actions going down in mid. So I'm going to run straight for mid and try to cut through and either save somebody one way or another, or, kill somebody one way or another. But it's okay, they revive. But then I noticed, it's not completely necessary because they started to back off, so let's just get wraiths on the way there, because the wraith camp is always nice for some experience, some gold, and some health regain. And I see Pantheon has whooped up on Talon once again. That extra, first blood really helped him in the long run because it allowed him to start carrying as Bruiser. And Kennen pinged for help and then recalled, so I think it was more of just like notifying us, and I didn't even see that wolf didn't die yet. So once I finish him off, I'm going to recall because there's nothing I can really do right now. Pantheon's heading through the jungle. He's going to try to get some action on Fizz, but then I noticed, well, if he's here, I might as well help out. So I stay and don't recall, and I help Pantheon basically, you know, get some action going down. And then Kennen says, of course, that he's on his way as well. So I didn't recall, and I decided to stay back and help out the cause. So I'm sticking around. I don't really have all that much mana. I might be able to do a little bit of a combo, but nothing too crazy. My skill order with Sejuani has always been W first, which is my little whirlwind looking Arctic swirl. And then after that I go for E, which is my permafrost, which anything that basically is hit by an auto attack of mine or hit by my Q takes a bunch of damage instantly. I don't even have to aim it. And on top of them taking damage, it slows them like crazy. Sejuani is really good at initiating, she's really good at finishing a fight, and she's really good at basically being utility in the fact of slowing everybody on the field that, you know, is an opponent. So after I put one into E, I'll typically put one into Q, which is my little Arctic rush where I dash forward. I can go through some walls. It stops on the first enemy champion that it comes in contact with, but if there are no enemy champions, it goes through the entire course. So that's how I usually will clear my minion waves. I Arctic rush straight through the entire line of them. After I Arctic rush through them, there was a little trade-off there, which is pretty nice. After I Arctic rush through the entire chain of minions, I use my W and my E. My E will basically permafrost, and for minions, it almost kills them. And then once I activate my W, it starts swirling around and it hits them that very last little time that they need. And I can literally clear, you know, entire waves of minions in less than about 2 seconds. So you'll see me do a little bit of a combo right here, or at least as soon as I can. Actually, I guess I don't do one right now because I don't really need to because I have the tower helping. I did ping that it was missing, but let's see if I do one here. Yeah, see? I hit all of them, bam, 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 bam. And I just got the entire minion wave all to myself. Didn't even have to struggle for it to get those last hits. So I'm going to accompany these minions up to this tower, and I think I end up getting pressured a little bit later. I don't really quite remember. But that's my skill combination. I max E first, and then I max W, and then I max Q, and I'm maxing R whenever I have it available. I'm just watching Corky end up dying here. He died a couple times. We were 4-0, and then I think he died twice. And after he died twice, then of course we're 4-2. So I don't know what Talon was thinking. He came and jumped on me when I was taking their tower. And he prematurely did it because Jarvan wasn't even here yet, and I completely, you know, demolished him, which is pretty funny because he's Talon and I'm Sejuani, and Sejuani does not do a lot of damage compared to the other champions. Like literally, my mastery tree, I believe, is 30. Is actually here. It's 0 in offensive, 30 points in defensive, and then 1 into my flash, which would be in the, you know, the third tree. So I'm straight tank. You know, I can get well over 7,000 or 8,000 life if the match goes on long enough with this build. And then my runes, I usually put on attack speed marks, and then I usually put armor seals. I usually put 7 of those, and then 2 of the max health per level, because I really like those for the seals because they are really beneficial. And then my glyphs are usually made up of 4 or 5 magic resist, and the other 4 or 5 are magic resist per level. And then my quintessences, I have 1 max health percent, the one that gives 1.5% like max health, and then the other 2 are ability power. So that's the only part that I have any damage in, are 2 of my quints. Those are ability power. So I don't know what the 2 top enemies here are doing. They're just kind of hanging out, and that, you know, allows Pantheon to poke at them as much as he wants. I was going to bluff them that I was going to come around behind them. By doing that, it's going to make them, you know, really, you know, skeptical and probably not play at the top of their game. By doing that, Pantheon actually sealed a double, and I was able to get golems at the same time. So it helped, and it worked out quite well, actually, just by me going out of sight. It completely made them, you know, get disoriented on what the heck was going on. So now I'm going to accompany Pantheon to this tower. I'm not sure if we finish it off. I don't think we do. Let's see here. Yeah, we do finish it off. We stay on it even with 1 minion left. So that's good. I'm going to do my little combo there, help him get these 2 minions out, and now I'm going to start making my way. Everything's on cooldown right now, but that's just because I just did my combo on the minions. But all in all, I have always loved Sejuani. She's been one of my favorite champions. This is the very first time I'm building her differently. Before Season 3 came, which is pretty much the last time I played, was in Season 2. So yeah, so here we just demolish Fizz. I always initiate with my ult, and then I Arctic Rush in, and then do my W and E, and then just continue my auto attacks, because I can auto attack so quickly. But I used to build Shirelia's, Merktread boots, Warmogs, and then sometimes the Guardian Angel or the Odin Shield, whatever it was called. And then, you know, anytime after that, maybe a Banshee's Veil, something like that. That's what I used to build with her. And she was somewhat of a respectable tank, but she didn't have as much regeneration, so she would get peeled pretty quickly in the long run. So here I'm coming bottom just to try to help them out. And then all of a sudden I see BraZZ is getting destroyed by 2 enemy champions. So I jump in, and now we've got a team battle going. First thing I do is focus Talon. He's the squishiest. As long as my attacks into him, Kennan's able to finish him off with, I believe, a Q. So we are 1 for 3 right here, which is pretty good trade-off on any team battle. I don't think anyone would disagree. So I'm going to help them push, and then we take this tower. But yeah, that was my old build. Now I'm going to focus on a couple of the newer items. I go first for the item I don't even remember the name of, honestly. You'll see me get it eventually. But I also change my boots up. I go for a Ninja Tabby, which is give me that extra armor, because I don't really need the slow or the you know, tenacity as much, because they also give that through a passive bonus. So slows still don't affect me too much. Right here, I asked if we wanted to do Dragon, and you know, nobody was really interested in it, so I just said never mind, and I moved on to continue on jungling. But yeah, so in this build, I tried to go first for that one weird little spirit golem tome looking item that has a bunch of really good tanky stats on it. And then after that, I go for that Liandry's mask. That one looks almost like a masquerade ball looking mask. And I'll get that next. And from there, I usually go a little bit into damage, life, and possibly more magic resist, because I'm usually slacking at that point in time. Here's another little team battle. Let's see. I end up dying here, spoiler alert, because I didn't notice that, you know, my entire team didn't focus the people who they should focus, and they were working on, say, Jarvan when they could have been working on Talon, or they were working on Nidalee when they could have been working on Talon. Anyway, Fizz is a freaking punk. I can't stand Fizz. He and his little trickster, playful, you know, whatever, hop around thing is a pain in the butt. If you're going up against a good Fizz, then you're going up against a good Fizz, and he's pretty tough. So as I'm dead here, I'm just viewing BraZZ taking out the Wraith camp. Anyway, after I get Liandry's, I mentioned I usually will try to get, I always like to get more life, more armor, more magic resist, depending on what I need the most. I build my armor up first, and then magic resist. Armor really helps against, you know, I believe it helps against the jungle monsters. And after I, let's see, after I do that, I will get my Abyssal Scepter. That's the next thing I try to go for, because it does have some magic resist built into it. And then I'm not really sure, I'll just try to build what I think I need at the time. But those are usually my first 4 core items that I try to build up to, because, you know, in the end, they just help the most. So I'm gonna just hit wolves here, and then we are looking, I was kind of just hanging out in brush, waiting to get my ultimate back. As you see, I only have a few seconds left. we don't really want to engage a team fight directly under their tower, so we're trying to ease up the pressure and let them come out some. I'm just trying to intimidate them, trying to get them to burn some of their skills, and then all of a sudden Fizz comes from behind us. So because he comes from behind us, I'm just like, what the heck? So I start working my way back around, and I was going to come diving out of river to try to help out as much as possible. So as I'm coming out, I see that, you know, Talon's making a break for it, so I try to throw my ult at him, but freaking Jarvan walks in the way. And, you know, the thing that makes my ultimate not be OP, as Jarvan does a little lance over, freaking weasel. The thing that makes my ult not be OP is it doesn't penetrate through enemy champions. It stops on the very first one it hits, which, if it did penetrate through, then, you know, that'd be bad. But right here, I'm trying to find Jarvan, because he cut over that wall and he basically escaped, and I have no idea where the heck he went. So I was just basically saying to myself, well, crap. You know, I should have probably gone through the middle of jungle, but I thought he was going to pop back out, you know, just to the left of where I am now, but he didn't. So now my ult's back on cooldown because I didn't whiff, because I did hit Jarvan and was able to scare him away at the least, but I really wanted to hit Talon. So now I'm standing here and I'm like, oh shoot, you know, Nidalee can put her traps over walls. So the second I move away, she puts a trap down. I knew she was going to. She was just trying to get some of that slight on me, and that's why I moved away. In the live commentary, I mentioned it. And believe it or not, in the live commentary, I mentioned just about all this kinds of stuff, just not as, you know, constant. So right here, I go and I try to take their blue. And I say try, but I do get it. I don't think I ever have an enemy try to invade on my jungle monsters and try to take them from me, which is good, you know? So I'll smite blue, and now my ult's getting even closer to coming back, which is always good, because I love initiating with it. And now I see these two running away, both at low life. I Arctic Rush over the wall and start on Fizz. He tricksers away like usual, and then I just focus Talon instead. Now Nidalee's trying to like kind of stick on me. She shouldn't, you know. And then Fizz was going to make his appearance, but he decided to turn and run. So right now I see Nidalee's kind of low. I have my ult back, and I'm thinking to myself, if I can, I will tower dive the crap out of her. So I go ahead and try to do that. I ult her under her tower and then wreck her right there on the spot. And you'll see that I put an attack, so I was like, oh, hi there. Because, you know, I don't think she didn't see that coming at all. And that's one of the things I love about Sejuani, is that her ult, you can surprise the crap out of people. So that's usually where I will Arctic Rush through to do the Wraith camp. I almost always come through there if I'm at mid lane or lower. And now I'm running over to, I believe I was going to do Wolves next. I think so. Let's see. Yep. And then I Arctic Rush straight through that wall as well. That's one of the good things about having a champion that can, you know, basically go through walls, at least some of the walls. Right here, I was trying to, during the LoL replay, I was honestly just trying to figure out how the heck to lock my camera during the LoL replay. If you guys know, then let me know. But I couldn't get it. So you'll see me hit a few keys a couple times. But right here, I'm just waiting for my Arctic Rush to come back, and as soon as it does, I Arctic Rush in, and I end up using my smite. Now, okay, that's another thing that I really never really understood. I do understand if you're playing against a really good team, but what I'm talking about comes down to smite. I would rather use my smite at the very beginning on the blue golem or the, you know, red looking lizard. I would rather use my smite at the very beginning so it's on cooldown for, you know, a shorter amount of time from when I finish the camp. Doesn't that make more sense? I know people always wait to smite until they are basically going to kill the monster. Kill the monster with smite. But to me, that doesn't make sense, because you're just wasting more amount of time to use smite. I know people use it so that you can't have an enemy, you know, run in and finish it off and steal your buff after you did all the work for it. But that doesn't happen nearly as often as, you know, people think. Right here, I'm just trying to lock the camera again. Sorry about that. So I rush in, you know, and the only time reason I didn't use smite right off the bat here is because it wasn't, on cool, or it wasn't, off cooldown. It was still on cooldown, therefore I used it and ended up killing the golem for it. But the way I see it, if it's off cooldown, use it right away. I mean, it just fastens it even quicker, and you are guaranteed to get the max damage out of the smite. You're not guaranteed to get the max damage if you're in the middle of doing all your other skills. So here, I jump in to save Kennen, okay? All he had to do was go down, and he would have lived. I burst all my skills on Jarvan. All he had to do was go down in the same pathway that I'm going instead of going back to mid lane, but he didn't do that. So I not only was not able to save his life, but he also was able to take the kill, which he apologized for, but I said it's all good. So I jump in on Gangplank, destroy him. Now it's going to be like a 2v3. What I like to do in these situations, especially with Pantheon who can tank some damage, is I back out, and after I back out, I dive back in. And basically that allows them to get somewhat confident in the fight, and by getting confident in the fight, they will be reckless. A lot of how to do with when I ended up bluffing that I was coming around behind them. And then by them getting too overconfident, then I'll dive right back in, and they thought that I left when I didn't, and it's just all mind games in the end. So I'm gonna do the Wraith camp here, and after I get down, I honestly don't even remember what I do next. But as you can see, I've already got my Ninja Tabby boots. I've already got my very first item I wanted, and of course I'm working on the next thing I'm working on is the Leandry's mask looking thing. I started this match. I know it's really late to talk about this, but I did start this match with the machete and 5 health potions. That's also, of course, a season 3 or at least a new item. So here I'm just watching this encounter. BraZZ is going toe to toe with Gangplank, but he's still outnumbered in the end because there's someone very close by. So after he dies, Pantheon comes crashing down on top of all 4 of them and just starts killing away. I'm trying to get over there as quickly as possible, of course. And but Pantheon just melting through them. He's already killed 2 of them, but then he died. So I'm like, my turn. So I dive in, I take out Jarvan right away with my combo, and I'm chasing Gangplank, still hitting him, but then Fizz turns around, and because he turns around, I have half-life. If I would have full life, I wouldn't care. I would engage right on Fizz. But I don't. I do have half-life. I don't want to just give them another kill like I did last time. So I'm going to push this minion wave up to the tower and basically try to get this tower no matter what. It's low enough life that even after he shoots his 4 or 5 shots on these minions, if I stay on it, I can tank it enough to kill him. So that's what I work on, and I activate my W just so I can hit minions along the way, crash through the minions, do my full combo, and basically, take out 2 waves of minions and a tower, and then now I can go and basically go to start on blue. Well, sure enough, I see Kennen running straight down. I'm like, and then all of a sudden I see the enemy champions right behind him. So I'm like, come on, man, I was about to start blue and you're gonna bring the enemy champion straight to me without even letting me know. So I do a little face here. Kennen starts his recall. I go back to get blue, because like I said, it was somewhat of a spoiler, but they don't ever try to, take it from me, and they don't have a designated jungle, so they very rarely are even getting the buffs. The only time they really get them is when I get them, and then die, and then give them to them. Which, another spoiler is that's going to be coming up very quickly here. I was wanting to save our first bottom tower, so I recklessly burnt all my skills on trying to do just that. So I come down here, I start with my ult, I dive in, but sure enough, even if I were to kill them, the minions still finished off the tower. So now I'm just trying to get away. They're bursting all their skills, both ults, everything on me. I can only get them each down to a 1/3 before I just get overrun. So all that's unfortunate, but in the end, I was able to at least get him down a little bit. Pantheon comes ulting down here right into Fizz's face. Jarvan moves out of the way, and then Jarvan comes back. I thought Fizz would have died from that ignite, but I couldn't tell how much life he actually had because I looked over there too late. But no, Fizz did not die, unfortunately. And they were still, scruffling about. At this point, though, it's looking really good for us. Right now, what I said is basically that we need to get that middle inhibitor as quickly as possible, because once we get that, we'll start our super minion chain going down there. So right here, Pantheon's running. Why does he run away from our team? You know, like, he should have ran straight for me. Because if he would have run straight for me, he would have lived, and he probably would have been able to turn around and, you know, us get some kills. But instead, he runs in the exact opposite direction of all of his teammates. I will never understand that, but that's what he chose to do nonetheless. So now that he's doing that, and died, Ken and I are going to try to play around here. We see Jarvan. I end up hitting him pretty hard, especially when my Permafrost goes. Jarvan starts getting melted, and Ken finishes him off. And now Talon shows up from behind us, so we're like, okay. And then Gangplank shows up, because they were all chasing Pantheon the whole time. So now we're just having a little bit of team battle. Corki goes down, I take out Gangplank, and then I also take out Talon. And now Needley's here, and Fizz shows back up with, you know, just less than half life. So I ult Fizz, and then try to jump in on him, but he just breaks out of that ult very quickly. So as he's trying to run away, I'm like, you're not going to get away from me. I flash, start my W, he's right on the edge of it, so he is getting hurt by it, and he dies. So we get the ace. After we get the ace, you know, I'm signaling for middle inhibitor, because once you get an inhibitor down, the lane just goes in your favor so nicely. Because you have those super minions that are just crashing through their minion waves, and they're completely getting dominated, and the super minions can get all the way to their base towers, or their nexus towers. So my main priority is really to try to get their inhib down, you know, as soon as possible. So right now, let's see what's going on. Oh yeah, this is the part, even though we're having a team fight, I unfortunately wanted that inhib so bad. I take off and I help Kennen kill them, but then Kennen dies, and then, let's see, and then Talon is dead somewhere else. I stay on the inhib, trying to see it through to its death, but Nidalee ends up focusing me, and I only had, you know, an eighth of my life left, so I died, but we got the inhibitor as well. If I would have focused Nidalee or gotten out of there, you know, it could have been a better outcome. It just would have taken longer, and I just wanted our minions to be chugging away as quickly as possible. So right here, my team decides to go for Baron. They're all talking about doing it, and I'm just like, wait, I'm dead. Because if you don't know, you don't get the Baron buff if you are dead. You have to be alive during it. I don't know how many times we've gotten Baron when I was dead, and I never even got the buff. So by this point, I'm like, okay, go ahead and do it. I'll be, you know, alive beforehand. So then they end up starting here. So by this point in time, I have some pretty good map awareness. I see the enemy team in mid lane. I see them all start to head over to Baron. As soon as I see that, I ping it out saying basically enemies are coming, you know, be careful, because the enemy team suspects that that's what we're doing. So right here, they're all moving over to come to infiltrate Baron. And I mentioned that to everybody, so we try to just, you know, do as quick as possible. I see a Nidalee spear come flying in. After that, we've already got Baron. I initiate. We're all here. Peel through 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. We don't even know where their 5th person is. And right now, what I was planning on doing was coming up, doing top tower, pushing into their inhib, and then by then it's game over. You know, once we've got both of their inhibs, we've got 2 waves of super minions going in. So I come up here to do this top tower. As I'm working on it, I notice they surrendered. It was a GG. Hopefully, you know, you guys enjoyed this. All in all, it was a really, really good match. I think I had 12 kills playing as a tank champion, which you usually don't see. I mean, the AD carry is lucky to get between 15 and 20. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Please share that like button, some love. Give it some love as much as possible. You know, anything helps. Maybe shoot me a comment if you want to see the live commentary. All in all, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Enjoy your day.
One step.